Okay guys, welcome into another Commitment Impact video brought to you by Go Lopes Radio. We are talking today about Brian Moore Jr., the guard out of Norfolk State that GCU brought in, a massive prize for the Lopes side of the portal. Before we get there though, to talk about Brian Moore, there's a lot to talk about. Again, really exciting get. I want to just talk about from a macro perspective, kind of step back, right? In my opinion, this is the best portal get for GCU that they've had yet. Now, obviously, you could make the case Tyon. I think at that point, he was kind of a diamond in the rough, right? Coming off the health concern, a few different things there. To me, guys, this is a guy who's proved it, isn't a guy who you're hoping is going to need to pop or evolve or develop or show it. He's already shown it. Really good player, and I think this is a massive statement by the Lopes in the college basketball conversation, in the West Coast college basketball conversation, Mountain West, all those things. It's showing that GCU is incredibly willing to invest, showing they're obviously liquid when it comes to their cash and being willing to invest in the program. And so I think this is a big get on the court and also kind of the statement it makes off the court. Talked about how important getting Dusty, first one in the door, setting the tone. I think this is a big deal that the Lopes go out and get Brian Moore Jr. really high on the portal rankings can be a little dicey sometimes, so don't take those as the absolute truth, but really well-rated guy on the rankings. So let's go back to Brian Moore and talk a little bit about him. Quick bio: he's from Harlem, New York. Full stop right there. In the world of basketball, there's so much folklore all across the world, all these different kind of things, right? One of them is obviously known. The toughest basketball players in the world are guards, specifically short guards from New York. We've seen time and time again in college basketball, really special guards come out of New York, and Brian Moore is one of them. Grew up in Harlem, New York. Again, the unquestionable basketball mecca of basketball in the world. He ended up going the JUCO route out of school to Northeastern Oklahoma A&M. Not familiar with Northeastern Oklahoma A&M, but he was a JUCO All-American there in his first year. And then out of there, obviously, he got recruited by multiple mid-majors up and down the Midwest and East Coast. Had a ton of offers, ton of places he could go, and he ends up committing to Murray State. Obviously, if you recall, Murray State known for being the place where John Morant played his college basketball. First season there at Murray State, he's fine. Bench guard, averaged 8 points a game. Pretty good splits. He did stay for a second year. Little bit of regression. He ended up scoring a little bit more, got that up to 10 a game, but kind of fell off a cliff from the efficiency standpoint. Also worth noting, those Murray State teams just weren't very good either. They weren't really relevant. Obviously, when Ja was there, they were a great program, but they've kind of fallen off a little bit since. And so kind of at that point, he finds himself, after those 2 years at Murray State, just one of those kind of rotation college basketball players in mid-major. Nothing really to be said, right? He's kind of just in that abyss, enters into the portal. So he gets that refresh. Norfolk State, an HBCU located in Norfolk, Virginia, brings him in, and oh my goodness, an incredible breakthrough. He absolutely pops. He averaged 18 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, and the best part of this, guys, is the splits and the efficiency. 54.5 from 2, or overall from the field, I apologize, 39.4 from 3, and then 81.5 from the free throw line. That is incredible stuff, especially from a small guard, to have those splits on the volume that he did. He's a leading scorer on a team. They did go to the NCAA Tournament. They did lose to Florida by quite a bit. Florida now in the national title game. But they did get blown out as a 16 seed playing Florida. But they did win their conference tournament and make it to the tournament. They also played at GCU Arena, I believe, in November. If you recall, GCU played one of its best games of the season, actually. That was kind of one of the high points. They blow out Norfolk. At the time, we didn't know Norfolk was going to be as good as they ended up being. But yeah, they ended up being good and obviously been talked about, but the big thing is he won the Lou Henson Award, which is given to the best mid-major college basketball player last year. Really great award, and he walks away with it. So let's talk about his game, because who is Brian Moore? A little undersized, 6'1", 6'2", stronger guard, but he's not just your, I guess in college basketball, there's so many inefficient kind of smaller guards, right? We've seen it time and time again. You hope to get one hot when you get to the tournament. He just kind of goes against everything there. He's a efficient, I guess, just scoring guard. He can kind of do it all over the place. There's not something he really can't do. And the fact that he does it at an efficient clip is really, really incredible. So really, really good player. And the film on him, like, it's tough because there's not necessarily a ton of thoughts you have watching the film. You're like, hey, he can make the three, he can get to the basket, he can shoot in the mid-range, he can pass, he just does all these things well. There's a few things I guess he does great, but there's pretty much everything he does very, very well. And I think that kind of benefited him quite a bit this year and allowed him to pop, getting all those splits up, being a willing passer, doing all those kind of little things. So I think one thing to really call out for him is the three-point shooting. Is he can do it kind of both ways, right? He can dribble, pull up into a three. He can also spot up, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later and how big of a deal that is. But really, really good spot up three-point shooter. The other thing I really love about him, guys, I mentioned this actually in the Discord already, incredible transition player. Now, the reason for this to me is he's really good at getting to the rim. We mentioned that, no problems there. He's not a freak crazy athlete that's gonna drive into the paint and dunk on four guys. He's got plenty of athleticism, so let's be clear there. But from an NBA perspective, think less Russell Westbrook bullying and just plowing guys over, trying to dunk on everyone, all that, and think a little bit more Kyrie Irving. I'm not saying he's like Kyrie Irving, but stick with me here. Think a little more Kyrie Irving. He knows how to use his body. He's shifty in the paint. He's strong. He can go take contact, bounce off it, finish. He's going to use the rim to deter shot blockers. He kind of is just really, really crafty around the rim. So think more Kyrie Irving around the rim and think less like Russell Westbrook just going to come in and bully you around the rim. Really, really crafty from that standpoint. I think that really helps him in transition because he's almost, you can watch him when he's got the ball in transition, he's almost kind of, it's like a computer. He's kind of just taking everything in and poking and prodding and seeing what he's got. He's very patient. And when he sees his opportunity, he attacks, he Euro steps, gets defenders up in the air. Again, can finish from both sides, can finish strong, can take his time, can kind of do things at a different pace. Really, really gifted around the rim, but he's not just this kind of crazy explosion, try to dunk it, or a crazy sort of layup. He's so methodical in the way he moves. And I think that allows him to be a good transition player because he doesn't just force it, turn the ball over a ton and do a ton of chaotic things. He's just very methodical in the way he moves around the rim. So a great transition player. Obviously on top of that, I mentioned the spot up three-pointer. This is something GCU, I would say, probably hasn't had from the guard position, is a guard who can spot up and shoot threes, at a really, really efficient clip. He's really, really great at being a spot up three-point shooter. So this is the key. If you're a little bit smaller and you can shoot spot up threes, you are an absolute asset. If you can't, it makes it tough for you to be out there. That's just the bottom line, because you either have to be a good old school distributor of the ball, or you have to bring a ton of value somewhere. And if you can't spot up and shoot threes, the problem is you're smaller, you're gonna get taken advantage of on defense, you're not gonna be strong enough to get to the rim and finish. So him being able to spot up and shoot the three is really a game changer. And I think when you look at some of the personnel already brought in, you look at a guy like Henley, 6'7" as a guard, he's gonna be able to create offense, and you can have Brian Moore out there, mostly because he's gonna be able to spot up and shoot the three. So Henley's creating offense. You're like, well, we don't just want a 6'1", 6'2" guy sitting out there if he's not gonna make threes, because he's gonna be, again, liability on defense, all that sort of stuff. But he could spot up in the corner and shoot threes when he's not handling the ball. And that's a massive, massive big deal. Again, 39.5% from three last year. When it comes to the half court, he's a good passer. I wouldn't say, again, he's not that old school point guard thinking like Sean Newman we saw from LA Tech this year, who's a guy who's so focused on getting the ball to other guys, distributing, he'll pass up shots to distribute. He won't do that. He wants to score. He does it at an efficient clip, but he is a willing passer, can pass the ball well, can work in the pick and roll. Even in the pick and roll, though, he's going to look a little bit more to score than to pass. So 3 assists a game. But again, a guy who, he's not going to hold the ball a ton and just dribble the heck out of the ball and then try to score. The ball does move with him, and he can be off ball to score. So a willing passer. Maybe we could see a little bit of that more unlocked if GCU kind of has the personnel that he can kind of set the table for. Weaknesses, I would say the size. We mentioned it. When he goes to the rim, he is crafty and methodical, and he uses different pace, Euros, things of that nature. So he does end up on the ground a lot when he drives the basket. Again, this is just being picky, guys, because he does so many things well. I noticed he was on the ground quite a bit. Just again, a little bit of a concern there from potential injury scare. But so that's something to know. I'm not super concerned about that. And then I think you could maybe make the case the first 2 years not super efficient. So is there maybe a chance he was, I don't want to say a one-hit wonder at Norfolk, but maybe that's the case. He's not as efficient this year for the Lopes. I would bet on seeing what you saw last year because it was against better competition. He was able to do it. I guess it wouldn't necessarily be better competition, but good competition and led them to the tourney. So I think that is totally worth something. They had a pretty good non-con too that they played. So really impressive season from him. And again, those weaknesses, it's a short conversation for me because I just don't have a lot. When you're smaller, he offsets that with being a good spot up shooter. He's good at getting to the rim. He kind of does a little bit of everything. And so I think we're looking at a really good get. Again, in my opinion, probably the best guy GCU's got in the portal of what he's done coming to GCU before coming to GCU, not expecting him to pop. You've got guys who've developed, Tyon, Ray, those sorts of guys, Gabe, those guys kind of progressed and got better. This guy's going to come in polished, ready to go. And I think, again, it's that best portal get yet. So great move for the Lopes, an awesome trio so far for GCU out of the portal, and I think this is kind of the crown jewel of them so far, and really, really good get for Bryce Drew and company. So exciting time to be a Lopes fan. Highly encourage you watch the film, guys. This guy's really, really good. Gets you really excited because he brings a lot of things to the table that maybe we haven't seen the last few years. Could be a little bit more of really, really exciting, invigorating brand of basketball to watch. So another great get, like we said, for the Lopes, and that's all for now. Hopefully more to come. So cheers.